The following is a presentation of TFNN. The Morning Market Kickoff with your host, Tommy O'Brien. Now, Tommy O'Brien.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Tommy O'Brien, coming to you live from TFNN, 8:30 a.m. Tuesday morning, 60 minutes to go until the opening bell. We got markets starting things off in positive territory. Looking at S&P futures within about 1.5 points of 3,800. We're up 6 points right now in the session, 37.9850. NASDAQ 100 up a bit. We've trailed off just in the last about 30 minutes from 12,950 to about 12,914, still up 18 points on the session. Got the Dow up 61 points, 30,963, and the Russell up about 1/3% or 8 points at 2,097. Crude catching quite a bit. We got a 53 handle in crude overnight at about 5 a.m. Eastern time, 53.26. We've backed off a bit. Crude's trading 52.91. Natural gas, look at that move. From yesterday at 258 to 288. How about 30 cents? Look at that move in natural gas yesterday. Gold contract, pretty calm this morning. We're down $1 at 18.49. We were above 18.60, as high as 18.64 at about 5 a.m. Little bit of a sell-off in the last half hour in gold. Silver's up 2 cents at 25.31. Similar action with a little negative action in silver. And notes and bonds, the trend continues, folks. We got the 10-year. How about down 10 ticks right now at 136.03? That is correlating to a yield of 1.175%. I mean, you're talking about basically within about 7 basis points of 1.25% on that 10-year. We'll pull it up on a daily just to show the kind of move we've had. Talk about a decisive break from January 5th, the the Georgia elections. We trade from a price point since then. You were talking about a high above 138. You've given up 2 full points in the 10-year. Remarkable action. We get higher yield coming at us. What else we got? Jumping over to the VIX this morning. There's your long-term chart of the VIX. A little bit of short-term action. The VIX 23.39 so far this morning. And we got to check in on Bitcoin. Bitcoin, quite the decline yesterday. We reached lows at just about noon Eastern time with a 31,000 handle, 31,115, 31,105, the technical low. And then how about from noon up until about 3 a.m., you trade up $6,000. We've now given up $2,500. And folks, whenever I see moves like this, just out of curiosity sometimes, okay, I'll take the move and I'll see what we're dealing with. And you're talking about a 50% pop from the lows. That number would have been 36,842, somewhere thereabouts. We make it to a high of just above 37,000. And as I mentioned, we've given up 2,500 points since then. My goodness, if this becomes an A to B to C to D formation, you're talking about 11,000 A to B leg. That would take you down to about 25, maybe 26,000 in Bitcoin. I am not in this market. This is the reason why. I missed it on the way up. You can't catch this thing on the way up because you see what might have just happened. And what did I just, wow, this is just a daily. I was thinking this was almost a monthly. It was so parabolic. No, that is just a daily. Zooming in on the action we had, you almost can't even see the run that would bring us to. But interesting, you're talking about that gap there from about 26.4 to the lows of the gap. You're talking about 24,000 on Bitcoin. All right, what else we got going on in the market? We'll jump to some of the stocks making moves because we have earnings already going on this morning. Albertson beat their numbers. Man, groceries, right? Talk about a segment that's really accelerated. Albertson's quarterly earnings of 66 cents a share, beating the 42 cents estimate. Revenue also beat forecast, raised the full year earnings forecast to 305 to 315. Market was looking for 275 to 285. Shares up on that news. Let's check out this one because this was private equity for a while. They just came back to market last year at about $17, I think, $14, $17. They've been floating it around that price. They were actually made it down to about $12. And this morning, you're going to trade at 1746. We'll pull up the short term, 1782. The highs from January there, putting it on a 15-minute there. You see the acceleration for Albertsons. What else you got going on this morning? Zoom. So Zoom's going to be pushing out 1.5 billion shares. Let's see where they are on this list. There they are. 1.5 billion through a secondary stock offering. Now, what's so interesting about this is talk about kicking yourself, man, for not doing this offering when this thing was skyrocketing at $600. It's almost like, folks, when do you get credit, right? You get credit when you don't need it. Because if you need credit, no one's going to give you credit at that moment. They will at a much higher price. You get credit, you gain access to credit when you actually don't need credit. So it's there in the case that you do. Zoom should have secured some of that funding when it was trading at $600 because they basically just have themselves. They could have raised $3 billion almost for the same amount of shares they're going to push out right now at about $337, slightly less, right? It's not quite cut in half, but you made it up to $588. You see the genius in a company like Tesla where Elon, it's continued to rise, but Elon didn't wait for the stock to pull back 50% and then do an offering. No, he was doing offerings on the entire way up. So they're going to be doing an offering. Now, the interesting part here, I already had this line on the chart. You go back to really August, gangbuster earnings in a big way. You jump to a price of $478 the next day. You come down to $350. You skyrocket to $588. Folks, we're going to fill the gap there to keep your eye on. $325.90. You put it on a 15-minute, and we dip to $318.58, basically filling that entire gap. Zoom is on my radar. Doesn't mean you can't dip lower. I mean, the run's been fantastic from 70 to almost 600. Maybe that basing area that it was in between about 200 and 300, it might chop around. Maybe this is enough to fill the gap. Nonetheless, quite a pullback for Zoom, but rightfully so. They're saying, you know what? We're not going to wait for this thing to dip even further. We're going to take about $1.5 billion in a secondary offering, and Zoom will move on from there. All right, what else we got going on? Walmart. Yeah, this is an interesting one. Walmart. So they are pairing up with Ribbit Capital Plant to create a new fintech startup that will help the retailer expand its financial services business. Now, Ribbit, I think, is up like 10% right now. They're a firm that's already backing Robinhood and Credit Karma. So very much into the fintech spec industry, among others. Walmart is up this morning. As I mentioned, Ribbit's up about 10%. But really interesting when you start to see Walmart expanding their reach even further. Now check out this chart of Walmart, right? This action back here was when they first talked about the Walmart Plus. Really, I think it's $98 a year, free grocery deliveries, right? Basically a competitor to Amazon Prime. You jump to 150, the market says not so quick, but we get it all back to 153. And this morning, we're going to open basically at 149.50. We're going to open right near the all-time highs on Walmart. And when you think about the capabilities, I mean, they are tired of paying billions of dollars of fees to Visa, MasterCard. Maybe they bring people into some type of a fintech where, I mean, they're just doing banking, financial services. One of the articles I was reading last night about this, talking about maybe mimicking almost like an Alibaba, where not only are you retail, but then you capitalize off of that retail to bring everybody under your financial services in the same way. Many low-income customers for Walmart are not serviced in that arena. Could be a big opportunity for them. Stay tuned, folks. We'll be right back.
Hey there, I'm Andy Arbertine with Tiger Precious Metals and Stones. Whether you're looking to buy and sell precious metals or trying to find the perfect diamond ring, I'm here to help. I have over 15 years of experience with diamonds and precious metals. You can call me directly at 727-329-8245, and I will personally answer any questions you have and help you find exactly what you're looking for. I will be your personal concierge in the metal and stone business. Give me a call today, 727-329-8245.
TFNN has launched our brand new website. You can still visit us at the same TFNN.com URL, but when you do, you'll see a new and improved homepage with a much simpler navigation, whether you're watching Tiger TV live in high definition or just accessing your newsletter subscriptions. We even have new pricing in 6 months and yearly options. Check out the new TFNN.com now and experience all the upgrades. TFNN.com, educating investors.
Hi, folks. This is Tom O'Brien. The printing presses are working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The U.S. deficit has risen 200% in 1 year with no end in sight. The markets are looking for an additional stimulus bill to get us through this once-in-a-generation pandemic. There is no free lunch, folks. The more stimulus dollars put into the marketplace, the less your dollar is worth each and every day. This is the time to protect yourself with a portion of your portfolio in the metal market. The Gold Report comes out each Monday morning. I bisect and dissect the dollar, silver, gold, the XAU, and the HUI. The Gold Report is a long-term hedge against the dilution of your buying power. The U.S. has put more than $6 trillion into the marketplace in the last 6 months, with more expected in the next few months. The market did and does need the stimulus, but it will have long-term implications on our buying power. The Gold Report comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Go to TFNN.com and order the Gold Report now. Protect your buying power. Order the Gold Report now.
Are China A shares hot or not? If you trade China A shares, now may be time to take a closer look. Trade CHAU or CHAD, Directions Daily CSI 300 China A Share Bull and Bear ETFs. China A shares in either direction. Visit directioninvestments.com today. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Direction shares carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact Direction shares at 866-476-7523. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
Don't forget, you can listen to TFNN live on your mobile device 24 hours per day. Go to TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV. That's TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV for the latest market information.
Welcome back, folks. We got the S&P is positive by 6 this morning. We got the NASDAQ positive by 15, Dow positive by 59. Jumping around to some of the FANG stocks. We'll put this on a 15-minute chart, just see how the market's moving. Now, the NASDAQ, before we do, you see a little bit of a pullback this morning from about 12,950 to 12,910, jumping around to the big dogs. Amazon trading a bit higher this morning by the tune of about $5, $31.28 from a low of $31.10 yesterday going into the close. Microsoft shares lower by a hair, 216.88. Check to Netflix, 500 on the dot for Netflix. Some of the social media sites, Facebook shares down a bit. Talk about some volatility yesterday. Twitter shares, a little bit of a pop from that low of 45. Pretty interesting that actually not pull back a little bit more. Tough business model for Twitter regardless in terms of monetizing the user base that they have. I mean, you look at where we are. We're going to open at about 48 this morning. There was the volatility yesterday down to about 45. You started the year. We did get a lift on their earnings in January, but after that, in a pre-COVID environment, you were sitting at about 38 on Twitter, down to 20 at the lows. All right, what else we got going on in terms of the market? Intel, they plan to outsource production of a new generation graphics chip to Taiwan Semiconductor. I believe Taiwan Semiconductor, they get their earnings coming up later this week. According to two sources familiar with the matter, those two companies, this is the long-term chart. There's Intel. They've been facing some troubles. Quite a nice little acceleration off the lows we got from 45 to 51. This morning, we're up a hair with the market to 51.69. Taiwan Semiconductor, TSM, I believe. Is that right? Yes, it is. They're getting a lift this morning from 122 to 125, and getting into the Analyze tab and the fundament and the earnings. Yes, they are January 14th, so they're coming out with their numbers on Thursday. Looks like the market right now pricing in about a $4.66 move on their numbers coming into this week's earnings event for Taiwan Semiconductor. Deutsche Bank, they're not going to be doing business with President Trump after he is out of office. The interesting part here, just in the president, he's got like hundreds of millions of dollars in loans coming due on a personal basis. The only banker that's doing business with him not doing it anymore. Let's see, what else we got? GlaxoSmithKline, they're going to test one of their monoclonal monoclonal antibodies as a treatment for patients with mild to moderate cases of COVID-19. An early to mid-stage trial expected to begin during the first quarter. I mean, you're going to see this really persisting, folks. Even if it hits all the wealthiest countries first in terms of the U.S. and Europe, you still have to have a worldwide effort to vaccinate, and it's not going to be as easy, and it's proving so difficult already in the richest nations in the world. When it comes time for the poorest nations in the world, we're really going to have to reach out, and it's going to take some time. And what I'm bringing up is that this could persist as an endemic for the next year. It doesn't mean that we can't open back up and get in certain countries, people get vaccinated, there's no fear, everything goes back to normal, but it doesn't mean that COVID will be eliminated. So those types of treatments and vaccines in general. But the numbers yesterday are pretty harsh, folks. You take a look at the numbers. This is the COVID tracking project. They do some of the best stuff out there. You see the 7-day lines, folks. Just be careful. I was talking to relatives in Massachusetts last night. Massachusetts numbers spiking to the tune of about 6,000 to 7,000 cases a day. Florida's up to almost 20,000 cases a day. Pretty comparable when you look that Florida's got about 3 times the population of Massachusetts. The whole country right now, though, folks. And, the rhetoric was always out there for us. Well, if cases rise, but it's not as deadly. If cases rise, but hospitalizations aren't put in jeopardy, I think we all know that that's happening, folks. Cases rise, hospitalizations lag cases, deaths lag hospitalizations. And you see the graphs up there. Please be safe, wear a mask, social distance when you can. Now, on to the promise of a brighter future. Yesterday was, I believe, the biggest day out there for vaccinations, as we had 1-point-something million, I believe. We've now reached 9.27 million doses across the U.S. alone. I often, people in my own spectrum, folks, you hear them say, and rightfully, not rightfully, but understandably, I should say, I'm worried. I want to let people get the shot first, and then I'll get into it. Well, we're at 10 million doses now in the U.S. And when people say that to me, I say, we're at 10 million doses. Where do you feel comfortable? Is 20 million the number? Because these cases are rough, folks, and please be smart out there. But encouraging data nonetheless. And I imagine once this starts really picking up, folks, that we're going to see an acceleration over the next 3 weeks or a month. Things are a mess right now. They're a mess in Florida. You can't get appointments, but that's going to pick up. And yesterday, an encouraging day, as I believe we saw the biggest day yet, with a tick up of more than 1 million, I believe, doses in the U.S. You see, though, doses in terms of supply, folks, just even pull it up in Florida. You're talking about 633,000 doses administered in Florida. We're already seeing the second doses, 40,000, which will give that 95% efficacy. All right, getting into stocks. So Sheldon Adelson, passing away at the age of 87. Las Vegas Sands, quite a mogul that he built in Las Vegas, and those shares actually trading up to 57.12, a bit with the market this morning. Not sure it's really impacting Las Vegas Sands shares in a dramatic fashion, but it could impact politics. And, a big Republican donor, there's going to be a lot of implications in terms of what's going on. Now, you look at this, if you think, folks, that companies are obligated to host hate and violence, that's not going to happen, folks, okay? This is reverberating around the country. It's been talked about many times. Amazon is not going to have to pay money for not hosting a site that basically touts the fact that people can say anything they want, and we see the implications of that on the Capitol January 6th. Now, I bring this up because of the FBI warning that goes out to law enforcement across the U.S. and possible armed protests at 50 state capitals. Use your brain out there, folks. When people tell you that private businesses are forced legally to be a platform for Parler, I mean, if you really believe in this company, folks, then what were they doing hosting themselves on Amazon and not building their own server farm? They didn't realize that, the rhetoric that was already eliminated from Twitter, they were just going to put it on Amazon servers and never face ramifications for that. If TFNN had servers, folks, and they were on there, I'm not obligated. They were warned many times, repeatedly warned of the type of violence that was being incited. We've seen that rhetoric has become a reality, and Amazon is not my opinion, okay? We want opinions out there. This was not the darkest day in internet freedom, as I heard yesterday. That's quite a whitewashing, folks, okay, of what was going on. So we'll leave it at that. All right, back to the market. S&P is slipping a bit as we come into the opening bell. 37.96. You see the fall off just a bit, down to 37.96. Jumping over to the NQs, 7 points to the positive now, 12,904. Dow, 30,942. But how about that crude contract? 52.85 right now, 53.26 overnight. Stay tuned, folks. Come back, see what else we have going on. We'll take a look at what companies' earnings in the future this week we'll have coming up. Stay tuned, folks. Be right back.
Back in the day, I joined Hotel California in 2006, and like many of you, was drawn in by, as well as...
Whatever you think about, you bring about. Whatever you focus on grows.
You see, I believe that everything in life happens for us, not to us. And Tom ignited the fire within me to want to learn how to master the markets. So how did I go from knowing nothing about technical analysis to becoming the #1 market timer for the S&P 500 in 2018 and the #2 market timer in 2019? Simply put, I hired coaches with a proven track record, which led me to a whole new set of tools that I created to interpret the message of buyers and sellers. I would love the opportunity to teach you this award-winning set of tools and to help you improve your market timing. You can test drive my newsletter service, Mastering Probabilities, for the next 30 days with no risk to you. Plus, you'll gain access to archive workshops that'll take you step by step through my system. Sign up today by going to the homepage of TFNN.com and selecting Mastering Probability in the newsletter tab.
If you haven't checked out the newsletters page of TFNN.com, what are you waiting for? All of the TFNN newsletters are informative, up-to-date, affordable, and a must-have for every trader looking to gain a competitive informational edge in today's markets. TFNN newsletters cover every aspect of the markets to offer you the very latest in market news. Plus, new subscribers get to test drive our newsletters risk-free for 30 days. From all aspects of the markets, including stocks, bonds, metals, commodities, and tech, there's a newsletter to fit your needs exclusively from TFNN. Stay informed each day you trade and get that competitive edge that will help you stay ahead of the game. Visit our newsletters page by going to TFNN.com and click the newsletters button near the top of the page. TFNN.com, educating investors.
Introducing Primal Edge.
Today, it's even more important to take a supplement that complements your health. Primal Edge is specifically formulated to boost your immune system and help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Our early ancestors found all their nutritional requirements in the wild environment. But today, our food sources don't contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients that we need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, soil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated humic and fulvic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They've been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, without them, life cannot exist.
That's right, Ellen. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge. Just $89 exclusively at TFNN.com.
Don't forget, you can listen to TFNN live on your mobile device 24 hours per day. Go to TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV. That's TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV for the latest market information.
Welcome back, folks. We'll take a look real quick at some of the stocks I like to take a look at most. Disney shares, they're a little volatile this morning, not really having to do with this story, but interesting nonetheless. Talking about vaccinations. So Disneyland, California, to become the mass vaccination site, get there, in Orange County. This is the type of movement that you got to see, folks, when you talk about trying to vaccinate 75 to 85% of the entire U.S. population. Once we start getting these super sites up, to distribute that vaccine once it goes out to Walgreens, CVS. Hopefully that's where we really start to turn the corner on this pandemic. Interesting article out here from Bloomberg this morning talking about Mercedes and BMW's dominance wanes as electric brands ascend. So BMW said Tuesday worldwide deliveries for its namesake division fell 7.2% to 2.03 million, within 136,000 of Daimler AG's main passenger car line, while Mercedes outsold its arch rival and topped the premium auto ranks for a fifth consecutive year. Electric vehicle companies led by Tesla made serious inroads. When you look at where we are, look at Mercedes, down 7.5, BMW down 7.2. These are declines in 2020, and Audi down 8.3. Maybe that's why Mr. Elon Musk rising to the top. Yesterday, folks, quite a day for Tesla. They were down $70 at one point, give or take, I think, towards the end of the day. Elon's got 180 million shares of Tesla. That's a value of about $12.5 billion. $12.5 billion alone would make you one of the top 200 wealthiest people in the entire world, just to kind of demonstrate how lofty things might have gotten for Tesla. And Uber shares up a bit this morning as well. That's interesting on the heels that you have SoftBank dumping $2 billion worth of their shares. They still have about a $10 billion position, though, in Uber. And some of the banks this morning, as we finish it up, because we have earnings in the banks on Friday, and with a yield, folks, approaching 1.25%, Citi up as well. Stay tuned, folks. We get the markets flat now. Larry Pesavento is coming up live next. Thanks so much.